Today's practice is really going to focus on learning the mechanics of stepping your foot forward on your mat in between your hands. There's about 5 specific things that I'm going to teach you throughout this practice that are really elements to helping you gain more access in the step forward and feeling really good about it. So there's key points that I want you to focus on and diving deep into recognizing where you need more awareness or where you need more strength or what elements are lacking in mind-body connection. First, the first step is talking about the feet, which we are always going to go back to the foundation. And the feet are really the parts that start the coming forward. So first and foremost, come to downward facing dog, please. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. So starting with the feet, the heels lift up so you're on the balls of the foot and try to get higher. So you're more like pointing the toes, getting high up on the tippy toes, and then slowly pressing the heels down towards the earth. Again, lift the heels up. Press down, push down into your toes so you lift a little bit higher, hips go a little bit higher, and then slowly lower down. One more time, lift the heels up, press into the toes. Now come to plank pose. Push the ground away with your hands, grip the ground with your fingertips, active hands, and lean forward into your fingers by pressing into your toes, getting higher up in the heels. And then bend the knees, push the heels down towards the earth, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Again, lift the heels up, round the back, come to plank pose. Keep pressing into the toes, lean into your fingertips, grip the ground with your fingers. Bend the knees, hips up and back, heels press down towards the earth, downward facing dog. One more time, heels up, that's where it starts. Press into your toes, come to plank pose, lean forward into your fingers, grip the ground, press down, and then knees down, come to a seat. So first step, heels lift, so that drives you forward. And you're going to be coming most of the time from 3-legged dog. So you'll have one foot up. So let's try that. Come to downward facing dog, please. Lift the right leg back and up. Keep the right leg up. Lift the left heel up and come to plank pose. Keep the right leg up. And then come back, downward facing dog, both feet onto the earth. Other side, left leg reaches up. Lift the heel of the right leg, come to plank. And come back down, downward facing dog. Okay, so start with the heel lifting. The next part is posterior tilt of the pelvis. Come to tabletop position. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. And create an arch, so a back bend in your back. And then bring awareness to your pelvis and notice how the sit bones are up towards the sky. This is called anterior tilt of the pelvis. Do the opposite, round the back, round the pelvis. This is called posterior tilt. Arch the back, anterior tilt. Exhale, round, posterior tilt of the pelvis. Again, inhale, anterior tilt, create a back bend. Exhale, posterior tilt of the pelvis. So when we come to plank pose, when you come to stepping forward, when you're doing a lot of your arm balances, you're going to be in posterior tilt of the pelvis. And that really creates a powerful pose, a powerful movement, because that initiates core activation. So the first step, lift the heel up, Second step is posterior tilt of the pelvis. Let's come to downward facing dog, please. Take a breath in and a breath out. Lift the heels up. Posterior tilt your pelvis, so tuck your pelvis. Activate the core by tucking. Come to plank pose, grip the ground with your fingers. Bend the knees. Anterior tilts, downward facing dog. So you're doing like a little wave. Inhale, heels up, tuck the pelvis, posterior tilt, grip the ground with your fingers. Point the toes a little bit more. Bend the knees, anterior tilt, downward facing dog. Again, heels up, round the back, posterior tilt, tuck the pelvis, plank pose. Bend the knees, downward facing dog. Okay. Next step, the third step, protraction of the scapula. That's when the scapula separate apart from each other. You're using your serratus anterior muscles. They're like a glove here, and those are the muscles that create the action of protraction of the scapula. So protraction is when your scapula separate and your upper back puff up. The opposite would be retraction, when your scapula come towards each other. So this is retraction. This is protraction. Protraction of the scapula is stability. Retraction is opening, heart opening. We'll be doing a lot of retraction in the air, in back bends, in heart opening, mobility. Protraction, stability, strength. Serratus anterior muscles create protraction of the scapula. You don't really need to know that, but if you want to know that, there you go. So come to all fours. And just soften your chest down towards the ground so your shoulder blades come towards each other. This is retraction of the scapula. Now do the opposite. Boom. Protraction of the scapula. Push the ground away. Retraction, soften between your shoulder blades, let them come towards each other. Then push, protraction. Soften, come to retraction, and come to a plank pose, and notice the feeling of the plank. For me, it's really hard to do. There's a lot of weight sinking down. Do the opposite. Protract your scapula, push the ground away, and come to plank pose. Boom. For me, it's a lot stronger of a pose, a lot more stability and strength that comes into my plank pose when I protract my scapula. So adding that layer in to our little flow. Downward facing dog, please. Lift the heels up, posterior tilt, come to plank and protract your scapula. Push the ground away, puff up the upper back. Take a breath in. Bend the knees, arch the back, create a back bend, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the heels up again. Posterior tilt, tuck the pelvis, round the upper back, protract your scapula, push the ground away, grip the ground with your fingers, lean into your fingers, push, 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 push. Arch, soften, downward facing dog. One more time. Lift the heels up, round the back, posterior tilt, protract your scapula, push the ground away, keep the arms super straight and strong. Take a breath in, feel the strength in your body. Downward facing dog. All right. Adding on the next layer, which I've already been saying is grip the ground with your fingertips. So every time your hands are onto the earth, which we've talked about, you're really having active hands. That is your strength, your foundation in your postures when your hands are on your ground. So your wrists have less compression because it activates your forearm muscles. And you can really lean forward into your fingertips so you get lighter and you have a little bit more lift in the body. So with the protraction and the leaning forward, you have the strength in your fingertips to resist the lean so you don't keep falling forward. And this will really help with the awareness and connection with your fingertips when you're hopping forward towards the front of the mat, when you're doing your arm balances, anything that has to do with when you're on your hands, when you're in your handstands, lean into your fingertips. So let's add that on. So this is step 4. Step 1, lift the heels up. Step 2, posterior tilt. Step 3, protract your scapula. Step 4, grip the ground with your fingers. Lean forward into your fingertips. Push the ground away. Soften, downward facing dog. 2 more times. Inhale, lift, tuck, push, lean. Exhale, down dog. 1 more time. Lift, tuck, push, lean forward. Downward facing dog. All right, now the last step is hugging the knee in towards the chest and your heel towards your glute. So that is 1 full step. Basically, hugging your knee in towards your chest is all of the muscles of your hip flexors and your psoas muscle, core muscles. So that's where we lose a lot of the strength. It's because it's really hard to bring your knee towards your chest. This is not an easy thing to do and actually hold it there. So it's a deep core activation. So come onto your back. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Reach your left leg long. You can point the foot or just flex the toes, or you can flex the foot, it doesn't really matter. Bring the knee in, as close in as possible. Round your back, so your knee is in towards your chest. Heel towards your glutes, so squeeze everything in as tight in as possible. Now keep that action, keep squeezing in. Reach your arms towards the ceiling. Round your back, bring the knee in as close in as possible. Shoulders off the ground. And release. So that's basically the pose, just flipped over upside down without like gravity pulling you down. So trying to keep the knee in as close as possible. Other side. Left knee in, right leg long, hug it in, heel towards glute so you get really small. Keep it in, reach the arms up, protract the scapula, push the imaginary ground underneath your hands away, and release. Other side again. Round. Keep it in. Squeeze it in. Push the ground away. Protract. And release. 1 more time. Other side. Left knee in. Round. Push. Hug it in. Hug it in. And release. Come up. Okay. Bring your right foot forward, please. Left leg back. Let's warm up the hamstrings a little bit. Take a breath in, inhale. Exhale, hips up and back, bow over. Straight front leg. Inhale, bend. You can keep the back knee off. You can bring it onto the earth, whatever feels good. Exhale, bow. Inhale, bend. Exhale, bow. 1 more time. Exhale, bow. Bend the front knee into your runner's lunge stance. Place your hands down onto the earth. Spread the fingers wide. Grip the ground with your fingertips. Start with the foundation. Lift the back heel up. Notice the hips automatically lift. And then squeeze your legs in towards each other. Back heel lifts. Try to posterior tilt your pelvis. Push down into your front heel. Round the upper back by protracting and pushing into the earth. Boom. So your chest is off of your knee. Push down. Push, 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 push. And release. Again. Lift up, back heel up. Round. Push the ground away. Grip the ground with your fingers. This time protract so much. Lift the right heel towards your right glute and squeeze the knee in. Hug it in, hug it in, hug it in. And release. Child's pose. So that's just going from the position that you want to get to a little bit backwards. So coming to the other side, left leg forward. Take a breath in. Hips up and back, bow forward. Bend. Exhale, bow. Bend. Exhale, bow. Bend the front knee. Place your hands down onto the earth. Back heel lifts up. Round the back. Posterior tilt. Protract the scapula a lot. Push the ground away. Grip the ground with your fingertips. Take a breath. And release. Again, this time, lift the back heel up. Posterior tilt. Protract. Grip the ground. Lean into your fingers. Keep the knee squeezing in. Heel towards your glute. Child's pose. Tabletop position, please. Inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. Reach the right leg back and up. Lift the left heel. Posterior tilt. Bend the right knee. Bring it into the chest. Heel towards your glute. Come to plank. Reach it back and up. Inhale. All the steps. Left heel lifts. Posterior tilt. Knee to chest. Protract. Lean forward. Grip the ground. Reach back and up one more time. Inhale, heel up, posterior tilt, knee in, protract, grip the ground. Downward facing dog. Full breath in, full breath out. Left leg back and up. Right heel up, posterior tilt, knee to chest, protract, grip the ground. Reach back and up. Inhale. Exhale. Push, push, push. Inhale. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Come down off of your hands for a moment. So when you go from three-legged dog to knee to chest, there's a momentum and an energy that I would love for you to tap into in order to help the leg come forward. If you, without the exhale, without the momentum, without the energy, it is really difficult to step the foot forward. It takes kind of stops the energy. It's like, and then the foot smashes down onto the earth. So what we're really going to focus on is using the momentum and the exhale, the breath of really firing up the center, firing up all of your strength in your body to whoom, get it there. And then you go heel, ball, toe. All right, let's do it. Okay, downward facing dog, please. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. Right leg back and up, inhale. Knee to chest, exhale. Reach it back and up, inhale. Use the momentum, exhale, knee to chest. One more time, back and up. This time you're gonna step forward, use the momentum. Knee to chest, push. Heel, ball, toe. Now what you can practice doing throughout your whole yoga practice is when you step back into plank pose, you're just gonna reverse the action. So push down, protract, round the back, push the ground away, heel towards your glute, plank pose, downward facing dog. Left leg back and up, knee to nose, exhale. Reach back and up, exhale, knee to nose, push the ground away. Inhale, reach back and up. This time you're gonna step forward, use the momentum, use the exhale. Now, reverse. Push down, heel towards your glute, lean forward, plank pose, downward facing dog. Come down off of your hands. So really using the momentum and then your strength to push the ground away, to elevate your whole body higher off the ground in order for the leg to have space to actually step forward. Without the space, specifically in the chest, specifically in the hips, then the foot is not going to be able to get there. It's going to be much harder for it to get there. So the steps, let's go over the steps again. Lift the heel up. That gets the hips high. Step 2, posterior tilt the pelvis. That means you tuck the pelvis, you get strong in the abdomen. Step 3, protract your scapula. Step 4, grip the ground with your fingers. Step 5, bring the knee in towards the chest. Knee in towards the chest kind of goes with when you protract the scapula, you come forward, but those are the 5 specific elements that will get you strengthened, aware of what's actually happening in your body when you do the step forward onto your mat. And then think about when you're doing your practices, stepping back to plank pose. This is where the mindfulness and the subtlety of your practice starts developing. How you bring your foot back to plank. Can you do all of those actions while stepping back as well to start strengthening the little parts of the body that need strengthening in order to have a smooth transition forward and back. Let's do it one more time, each side together. Come to downward facing dog, please. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. Lift the right leg back and up, inhale. Step forward on the exhale. Inhale here. Exhale, soften. Push the ground away, round, inhale, plank pose. Downward facing dog, exhale. Left leg back and up. Round, use the momentum, exhale, step forward. Take a breath here. And a breath out. Knee to chest, plank pose, inhale. Downward facing dog. Come down, knees down. 2 little tips that I will give to you that I use in my practice. Grab 2 blocks or something to put underneath your hands. You can have books or anything. This just gives a little bit of lift in your torso, in your hands, to be able to feel what it actually feels like to step forward. But I would love for you to get off of the blocks as soon as possible, because this could be a crutch too, because you have to create this height in your actual physical body, and that takes time for strength to build up. But this is a really great way to feel the possibility is actually there. So this creates possibility, gets the mind and the body connected of the actual movement that's supposed to happen, and gives you an opportunity to create more space and lift in the body with the help of our blocks. So you come to down dog with your hands on the blocks, and you literally do the same thing. Lift your right leg back and up. Exhale around, push the ground away, hug the knee in, push, 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 heel, ball, toe. Then the same thing going back. Push the ground, lift the knee up. Plank, downward facing dog. Left leg, inhale, exhale. See how much more space I have in the pose? And then push, lift, plank, down dog. Really great way to still build strength as long as you're really using all of those 5 steps with your hands still on the block. So you can still grip the block, you can still lean into it, you can still protract, posterior tilt, lift the heels, push the ground away, bring the knee in. You do all of that with your hands on the blocks. Next little tip that I use for sure, probably every time I step forward, is I come up onto my fingertips, either both hands or one hand. So that looks something like this. Go watch first. Right leg reaches back and up. I'd come up onto both hands as I step forward. So this is the tented fingertips. It creates height and lift in the torso, giving my leg more space and room. Same thing. I'd stay up on my fingers. You need a lot of strength in your hands for this, but it's definitely possible, and your hands build strength really quickly. Or I would just do one hand. So say my left leg's reaching back and up. Exhale. I lift my left. I'd come up onto my left fingertips of my left leg, left side. So same arm, same leg. So my right leg would look like this, my right hand. Gives a little lift, the hip can lift slightly, so it creates more room for the body. So tented fingers, boom. Anytime you can tent your fingers on your yoga mat, creates strength. Before, when I first started practicing yoga, I never did that, and my hands would get really, really sore. After time, I constantly had tented fingers, or I gripped the ground with my fingertips. They got stronger, more active. There's a foundation for my actual arm balance practice, and for anything that my hands were on the earth for. Okay, there is the infamous step forward. All of the elements to create a fluid motion, to build strength and awareness in your body, create height, stability, power in the pose. Don't forget to use the momentum of the leg, and don't forget to use the strong exhale of your actual physical breath exhaling out. Let me know how the practice goes for you. Let's dive deep into this practice, because this is in every single practice for the most part of any type of yoga. So let's just fire it up and do it.